Of course, we are partners with Maryland Sports, and we always support every big event that comes up here in the state of Maryland. One of our favorites is happening next Saturday. It's the Military Bowl in Annapolis, East Carolina, taking on NC State. And joining us now to tell us a little bit more about the Wolfpack, he is their head coach, Coach Dave Doeren, and he's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Coach, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
No problem, Glenn. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Coach, can I be honest? I kind of have a bone to pick with you, though, if that's all right. Could you please have yelled a little bit louder about Peyton Wilson last year so that he wouldn't have slipped to the third round and the Pittsburgh Steelers to be giving us nightmares going into Saturday based on him maybe making the greatest play I've ever seen earlier this year against the Ravens?
Yeah, well, Peyton's a great player. I miss him. Tell you that. He chased people around in our stadium for a long time. He's a special young man, and I'm not surprised by the things he's doing. It was a great play, the one you're referring to, and a lot of people missed out not taking him earlier. That's for sure.
There's no doubt about that. Hopefully, with respect to him, there won't be more of those coming up this Saturday. Coach, great to chat with you. I wonder, going into the year, with all respect, because we love the Military Bowl. I'm sure it wasn't the first goal that you guys had on your mind, but having to win the way that you did against Carolina in the season, and then getting it to be a matchup against East Carolina. How much has maybe that invigorated the program, the fan base about their excitement for coming up here to Annapolis?
Yeah, I think what we went through, quarterback injury, playing a true freshman, that this got better and better and better as the year went on. Had a lot of one possession games, won some, lost some, and learned a lot through the process and finished, as you mentioned, strong against our rival team. Becoming a bowl eligible team matters. It's not the ending, I guess you'd say, with 6 wins. We thought we'd have more than that, and we lost 4 one possession games, but winning that game meant a lot, not just because we're bowl eligible, but four in a row against, the team that we love to call our rival.
Hmm.
And it allows you to get all these postseason practices for your team. I mean, the development of your roster is a massive thing. And even though there's more kids leaving rosters these days, the kids that do stay, they get a lot out of the bowl. They get a lot out of the fun of the bowl game, the brotherhood of the bowl game, but they get a lot out of the practices that allow them to kind of get a taste of where they're at for the returning players and what they can focus on, for the postseason, getting ready for spring football. And we've been in 10 bowls in 11 years. Certainly wasn't a team that didn't want to be one of them to carry forward what this program stands for, and that's sustainable success and, over a long period of time, being able to be a competitive team.
Coach, the fact that it's the Military Bowl and that you're going to spend time at the academy, and I know the entire college football world just watched, obviously, Army Navy this past
Yeah.
weekend. Have you sort of tried to impress anything on your players about, yes, it's not Miami, it's not, San Diego, some of these locations I'm sure they'd love to go, but the significance of being at the academy, taking some time and getting to know what those guys go through?
Oh yeah, I mean, the first meeting about the bowl game talked about our nation's capital,
Yeah.
opportunity for life growth. Just seeing a lot of our guys haven't, toured the capital and seen what we're going to be able to see. Life experiences is part of college, and bowl games is a great opportunity to see things from that standpoint. And then we have a huge military presence in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's something that is a big part of being someone that lives in this state. We pay tribute to the military in our military appreciation game and have thousands and thousands of military there for the game. It's something our players know is near and dear to my heart. My dad was in the Navy. My father-in-law was in the Army. And
Wow.
so there's, I don't know, 30 plus kids on our team that have, somebody in their family in the military. So we definitely talked about that. And it's exciting, to be playing in a game that means something to our nation's military.
Yes, Coach Dave Doeren from NC State. He's getting ready for East Carolina in the Military Bowl 1 week from Saturday here in Annapolis. Coach, you mentioned your quarterback, CJ Bailey. Just how, I think it's the word that comes to mind, right? Like, how was he able to sort of get things going the way that you needed him to at such a young point in his career?
He comes from a great program, Chaminade High School. two-time state champion. He's a winner. He's used to playing against elite players in that area. So the bell curve for him was a little different because he understood the speed of the game when he got here. Mentally, he's very capable. He learns fast. The thing I love about CJ is when he makes mistakes, he learns from them really quickly. And he doesn't point fingers. He doesn't blame others. He owns everything. He wants to be better. He's got a thirst to learn and improve. And he's just got a really good competitive spirit, a positive personality that people gravitate to. So I'm not surprised that he's been able to improve each week because of the way he approaches himself and the game.
Coach, the I mentioned earlier the East Carolina thing, right? And like I know obviously it's not an ACC rival, but the regional thing, how real is that? I'm assuming that there are guys that have friends on that roster and there are family connections, and how significant does that make this game for you all?
It's an in-state opponent, and you never want to lose a game in state. I don't care what league they're in, and these kind of games mean something. It's not a rivalry from the fact that we play each other every year like they used to back in the day. So for the fan bases, I think there's a lot that goes into the in-state games and split homes, all those kind of things. Husband, wives that went to the separate schools, or they have a child that goes to ECU or NC State, and we cross over a lot. It's not very far from us, so anytime you play an in-state opponent, there's a little extra juice in the game, and we open with them next year, which makes it even more
Oh
unique.
wow. Coach, you mentioned a second ago that not everybody is going to be back, right? And there's been so much conversation recently about like the windows and the transfer portal dates. And I just wondered, as you're trying to go through this and get ready for a bowl game, if you had any insight about like is there a better way that this can be done to prevent some of the stuff that we've seen? And I know a former assistant of yours kind of walked into that situation at Marshall
Yeah.
this
Well, it's
offseason.
completely broken. I think everybody recognizes that, and there's a lot of different solutions. There's going to have to be some heavy hitters involved in these solutions, and I've heard people talk about moving the season forward, starting earlier so that we can finish earlier, and then the bowl games could be done before the end of December. To me, that makes a lot of sense from the standpoint that, these kids that transfer want to be at their new school in the second semester academically and to learn the systems that they're going to be a part of, right? And the way it's set up now, they can't finish. And that's something that's anti-athletic.
Hmm.
I mean, finish is something we all want to do. And so I would be completely in favor of that. Our players are here all summer anyway. I mean, we could start our season earlier and have a different model that way. I've heard people talk about eliminating the winter portal window and making it a one-time only thing in the spring. Uh, I would like to investigate that one more before I
Hmm.
say I'm in favor of it. I think that creates another problem. I mean, you're only 3 months from your season, and now you're going to have a mass exodus potentially for a lot of schools. So, I don't know what the answer is, but there's a major problem. And it's in a lot of facets. I saw a stat the other day, 6,300 guys in the portal, and 39% of them were looking for their third or fourth school,
Hmm.
which means a lot of them aren't graduated. When you transfer, you lose credits each time you transfer. And the whole goal in this thing as a student athlete is to play football or basketball or whatever your sport is for the length of your time there and get a degree. And I hate to hear that the graduation rates are suffering because of an institution or an NCAA rule now that exists. To me, that's anti-student athlete.
I understand what you're like. It's not you're not we're not the toothpaste isn't going back in the tube, right? Like the portal era that
Right.
it's not going to change, but it can be done better to benefit the not just the programs, but the athletes themselves.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a model that's out there. It needs to be vetted. Obviously, there's a lot of unintended consequences when rules come out. And unfortunately, these don't get vetted well enough. And now you have a lot of these unintended consequences, these rules. But I do think there's a solution that benefits the student athlete and the universities at the same time. And it just needs to be found. And like I said, there needs to be a room with the four commissioners and some really good ADs and some really good football coaches and basketball coaches where they just put all the problems on the table and don't leave the room until they're solved,
I
you know?
appreciate that. I appreciate it. Not Not a lot of NC State connections up here in Baltimore, but I know one guy you did get to know who's on the Ravens practice squad, of course, is Devin Leary. And wonder if there's any insight that you could give us about your time with him and your belief that he has the ability to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, Devin was a great player for us. Unfortunately, suffered some injuries and decided to leave and go to Kentucky. And I have nothing but love for Devin. He's got a great arm. He loves football. I mean, he's one of the best arms I've been around as far as arm talent. Can make all the throws, strength in his arm, touch in his arm, sees the game well, and just loves the game. And so I'm glad he's there and hope that he's doing well.
All right. And then before we let you go, I do have to, have you had a phone call yet with your new rival? Have you been able to check in and say hello, welcome to the ACC, anything like that? It's,
Who are you talking about?
the guy over in Chapel Hill, the new
No,
guy.
I got my own program to worry about, man. I'm not worried about that program right now.
I understand that. Coach Dave Doeren, we really appreciate you taking the time for us. We're looking
Yeah,
forward to you guys being up here in Annapolis. It is a great day in our community and an event that we truly love next Saturday for the Military Bowl. Thank you for spending the time with us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next
you're
Saturday.
welcome.
Happy holidays to you.
All right, you too. Go Pack.